Today we're going to be talking about formatting, which just means putting on the finishing touches. Formatting is the very last step in the writing process. This is after we've made all of our revisions and all of our edits to make sure that our writing is as great as it can be. And we're just going to put on some last minute touches to make sure it looks as clean and professional as we want it to so that our readers will take us seriously. So it's kind of like just going back over the whole thing and making sure that it has a fresh coat of paint, making sure it actually looks nice on the page. There are 3 different types of things that we're going to look for to make sure that our writing looks neat and professional. So the first one is spacing, second one is indentations, and third is everyone's favorite, and that's font. So I have a persuasive letter here written by a student. And just on first glance, before I even start to read any of the words on the page, I notice that it looks a little bit strange. There's some blank space here, some blank space over here, even some blank space in between some words here. And if I look very carefully, there's actually no space in between these lines. And here, there's a little bit more space. So just right off the bat, I look at this and it makes me kind of think, what's wrong with this paper? It's definitely not the impression that we want to give off upon first glance. We want our readers to have a great first impression, so we want to make sure that our writing looks as professional as it sounds. So I'm going to first look for spacing. Now when I'm talking about spacing, I'm looking for the spaces in between the lines. I'm also going to be looking for the spaces within the lines. So first let's talk about in between the lines. If you have any spaces in between paragraphs, like this one right here, you're going to want to go ahead and click there and then press delete. You don't want these extra spaces in between the lines. If I can't click there, if you notice I'm trying to click in between these 2 lines here, that's actually not where my cursor can go. And so I'm going to do something different to solve this problem. So I want my spacing to be even. If you notice here, this paragraph has much tighter spacing or smaller space in between the lines, whereas this one has a little bit more space. I want it all to be the same. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to go File, over to Edit, go down to Select All. Now a shortcut for this would be to press Control A. Select All is going to highlight all of the work for me so I don't have to click and drag. Then I'm going to go up to this little button that looks like a bunch of lines and some arrows. This is our spacing button. And I'm going to click double. Okay, we want a double space between each of our lines. There's going to be a little bit more room, and that's okay. The main thing here is that we want all of our spacing to be even. We don't want single spacing in some paragraphs and double spacing in other paragraphs. If after you do this you realize, oh, I have some extra space in between some lines, possibly looking like this, just go ahead and delete it. Now I'm going to look for within the lines. After I've done between the lines, I'm going to look within the lines. So what I'm talking about is this awkward amount of space right here. We only want to have one space in between our words. So if you notice here, this is only one space in between words and only one space after end punctuation, like a period or a question mark or an exclamation mark. So if you have some awkward space right here, you have to think, okay, is this awkward space because I accidentally hit the space bar too many times? Or is this awkward space because I didn't actually hit enter when I'm trying to start a new paragraph? If I look at this one right here, it says in conclusion. So this is probably transitioning into a conclusion paragraph. I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter button to bring it down to the next line because it's a different paragraph. If I had decided that this was still part of the same paragraph, I would just hit back so that I would have it linked up together with the words in the rest of that paragraph. And again, I need to add one space in between my period and my next word, so I would do that right here. So you're going to go back through every single line and make sure that there's only one space in between each word and each sentence. I like to do this backwards. Sometimes when I'm reading it forward, my brain already knows what I want to say, and so it will fill in gaps for me and it will correct errors for me, so I won't notice quite as many errors that I've made. So I like to go backwards. So I'll go, okay, there's one space there, one space there, one space there, one space there, okay, one space there, oops, and if I make a mistake like I just did, I can hit the back button. One space here, one space here, one space here. It might take you some time, but it's really going to impact how your reader reads the writing. After I've done spacing, my next thing is to worry about indentations. So remember, each paragraph should start with one indent. Dear Editor or Dear Senator is actually a greeting. This is not a paragraph all by itself, and so I do not need to indent it. It can stay sitting all the way to the left. But my first paragraph, my introduction paragraph, definitely is a paragraph, so I need to hit the tab button once to indent it. I don't want to hit it twice, I don't want to hit it 3 times, I just want to hit it 1 time. Now when I go down to my next paragraph, I need to do the same thing. If I don't already have it indented, I'm going to need to fix it so that it looks like this. Only the first line in each paragraph should be indented. If I notice that my paragraph looks like this, where every line in the paragraph is indented, I need to hit the backspace and try it again. I did something wrong, possibly hitting tab too many times. I'm going to hit it just once. And again down here, just once. And again down here, just once. Now this part where it says Sincerely, Melissa, this is my closing. I can leave this all the way to the left, just like I did up here with Dear Editor. So my writing can look just like this. Now the last thing that I'm going to work on is the font. Fonts are super fun. There's a ton of different kinds of fonts. The main thing that you want to focus on with your font is that it matches the tone of your writing. So if you are writing a very playful letter, you can use a playful font. If you're writing a very serious letter, you need to have a serious font. And the easiest way to change your font is to go back up to Edit, press Select All, or again you can press Control A. That's going to highlight all of your work so that you can edit everything all at the same time. You're going to want to make sure that everything is the same size. Your work right now should be size 12. So if it is not size 12, please change it to size 12. Then you have the freedom to change your font. You're writing to a senator. You are asking them to take you seriously and to follow your advice. And so we want to sound very professional and trustworthy. If I did a font like this, that's a little bit hard to read and it doesn't look very professional. If I did a font like this, kind of looks like a student's writing. It doesn't necessarily look like a professional piece of writing. So I'm going to go through and kind of pick out one that I think looks super professional. Let's see. This one looks professional. It looks easy to read, very straightforward, like my senator could read it easily. This one is probably going to be pretty hard for them to read. You notice here, even just the spacing looks a little bit strange. I'm going to go ahead and try a different one. This one's also just a little bit difficult. I want to really stick to one that looks professional, so I'm going to go with this one right here. Easy to read, professional, pretty serious, matches the tone of my writing. After I've checked for spacing, indentations, and font, I want to just look over the whole thing and think of it as kind of like a piece of art. What does it look like? Does it look clean and professional? Does it look serious? Or does it look messy, confusing, or silly? I want to make sure that my first impression matches the tone of my writing. When you're good to go, that means you are done and you are ready to publish.